found a Reddit thread about the game Anthem. But real quick, Anthem came out a little over 4 years ago on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. The reviews were middling. As you can see, 59 Metascore for the PC, 54 for the PS4, and then 65 for the Xbox One. You know, different people whose reviews and stuff. User score is generally pretty bad. It's kind of like a mech game, as I said here, shared world action RPG in which players delve into a vast world teeming with amazing technology, yada yada yada, freelancers and stuff, which is basically just, you know, mech suits essentially. Pause that shit. But anyway, the game didn't do well. It was it basically was canceled after a certain point. It didn't have much of an end game. It had kind of a good core loop, as they would say. It was fun with friends and stuff because you had different mech suits you could wear. You know, you had the tank kind of. You had more of the glass cannon essentially, but not really. But there was a lot more to it than what I'm saying here. But it was fun. Some of the gameplay was fun. There just wasn't enough content. This is one of the reasons why. Ian Southerland was a BioWare dev who worked on the game. He says, "We knew it wasn't ready. This game was literally created in 15 months, which is almost unbelievable. As he said, it's unheard of for a game that scope. Anthem 2 would have been great. Absolutely. You know, I mean, of course things could always go wrong, but I think Anthem 2 would have been really, really good. It's just EA decided, well, you know, we gotta kibosh this thing." But anyway, he further elaborated in more tweets. EA had their reasons to release it early, but were stupid, and the dev teams had to pay the price. EA learned a lot from the development of Anthem, but whether they applied these learnings is unknown. Old Shitstains article, how BioWare's Anthem went wrong, was all 100% true at one point. So, you know, credit to him. You know, it was all 100% true at one point in development or another, and only scratches the surface. How they managed to ship it in 15 months. This is the kind of the crazy, or even crazier part. Dev mentions working about 90 hours a week for 15 months. That's, you know, a year and 3 months. Many other devs on the team were also doing so, and you think that others were doing 90 hours a week prior to the 15-month mark. It wasn't sustainable and not even a position we should have been in. Oh, absolutely. You know, then he talks about, "I'm fine now, but not without damage. It contributed to the cost of my marriage. I needed therapy for a while after that endeavor. To be honest, not to be, you know, I mean, not to be too glib about it or whatever, but you need therapy if you agree to work 90 hours in a week." It's like, I mean, I understand that they might have fired you if not, but it's like, come forward with it and just be like, "Oh, dude, they're wanting me to work 90 hours." Yeah, it's like, it's almost hard to imagine 90 hours a week. Now you could say it's spread out over 7 days, so it's not quite as bad as it seemed. It's only quote unquote 13 hours a day. That's 7 days straight, you know, without a break. It's like, fuck all that. Ain't no way in hell, dude. You know. Now, I mean, if you really loved it, if it was a passion project and stuff, then hey, that's fine. But it doesn't sound like that was the case here. Which even then, you still need to get breaks, even if it's like something you love doing. But he talks about the cost of his marriage, and he needed therapy, and that obviously wasn't worth it for him. You know, Anthem was delayed, it had missing features like a polish and bugs that needed fixing. And he said the main team was focused on getting the game out in a functional state. We really needed another 1 to 2 studios to make in-game content while we were finishing up the game, which is they didn't, so that's why the game they don't have an in-game, you know, at all, pretty much. I mean, I don't want to get too much into it because you can read the reviews if you want. I mean, I'll link to the Metacritic stuff there if you want to read it for yourself. But anyway, and he goes on and talks about it was a great team effort to get the controls how we shipped. We went through many iterations. It was super rough in the beginning. I thought the controls were pretty good. Speaking of that, like was it the greatest game of all time? Well, no, but there was so much potential there, you know. But anyway, he talks about how most people at BioWare don't believe in the BioWare magic. Well, some of that's because a lot of the original BioWare magic people are gone. You know, because of shit like this, they're getting forced to work too much on games they don't want, or so on and so forth, and everything. And he talks about Anthem 2.0. The game was really fun and going in the right direction. That's basically what they started calling it, because like when Anthem first came out, it had all kinds of problems. They started fixing some of the problems and stuff, so that some people started calling it Anthem 2.0 or Anthem Next or whatever. The team had hit a really great milestone. The Canada, it was a different development team driving to Anthem 2.0. The team were gutted when it was canceled. It's just Anthem had a lot. It's one of those games. Anthem will go down in history as one of those games that had a lot of potential. They just never lived up to it for a variety of reasons. I mean, the fact that they made the game in 15 months, that's absurd. That is honestly, it's like if you've played the game, or you can go watch YouTube videos of it or whatever. It's like if you played the game. Now on the one hand, you can sit here and say, well, I understand because it didn't have a whole lot of like in-game content or whatever. But still, just knowing that a game like that was made in 15 months, you're like, damn, dude, if they delayed that by a year or something, what could have happened? It really could have been, because this is when EA was really kind of getting into their. Now, some people probably falsely claimed that this was going to be like their Destiny killer, and which it wasn't true. It's now there was the potential for like monetization and stuff there, and they could have really done it well, you know. But then there was also there was issues because some of it's probably EA, some of it was probably BioWare, just people not really knowing what they're trying to do because it was very much kind of a product of its time in the sense that they were trying to have like a live service style game, but then also trying to put in like a really great, you hate to say single player, but it was more like it kind of was in a way because you could have up to four people on a mission, which a lot of games will kind of do that kind of stuff. But there was still a lot of like single player elements to it and stuff where you could upgrade, there were stories, so on and such forth. It's just one of those things where the game had a lot of potential, and it's just unfortunate that it never got a chance to live up to that potential. But I mean, the gaming world's littered with games like that. Anyway, like I said, I'll link this in the description box if you want to read all this stuff for yourself. But thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.